So this Friday is VIP Connect, and we will be coming on at 9 a.m. I like VIP Connect because it's relaxed. We're just conversational. We try to get our new members on so that we can get them to introduce themselves. It's a good chance to talk about what's going on in your business. Sometimes we do a little bit of mindset work, but it's here lately, it's been really conversational. We've been giving you updates on what's going on. So hopefully you all can make that. That should be on, you should have a calendar invite for that Friday at 9. And I hope to see you there. I know Amanda Gleason was trying to jump on, was having a little bit of trouble. So we will give her a moment. Hey, Marty Justice and Crystal Schultz. Good to see you, ladies. Awesome, awesome, ladies. What was the other thing I needed to tell you? Let's see here. VIP Connect.
Birthday party?
Yeah, who's coming to the birthday party? August the 23rd.
Oh, I can come. Thanks.
Well, so if you are out of town, you can do the virtual version because we have a slate full of speakers to do 20-minute clinics. So you are welcome to attend that virtually if you want to. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And if anybody else jumps on, they'll just jump on and catch us in the act of encouraging and inspiring you. So ladies, I have a special treat for you today. We've got Victoria Adekomaya, is that right?
Yes.
And she and I met a few weeks ago, and the reason why I was talking to her is because, you know, the VIP Center does private events and we've been looking for photographers, and so she's a professional photographer. And when I met her, I found out that she is so much more than that. And so we began talking, and I thought, oh my gosh, I need to have you come and talk to our ladies in the entrepreneurial group, because she talks about personal branding and photography. And I looked at her website, and oh my gosh, I was really amazed at what she's doing. So I'm going to turn this over to her to share with us about personal branding and tell more about her and some of the opportunities that are going on in her world. So Victoria, take it away.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Okay. So hi, everyone. And my name is Victoria Adekomaya. And thank you so much, Angie, for giving me this opportunity to come meet amazing women here. I'm already very excited and I'm eager to learn about you all. And so hopefully we can get to connect thereafter here. And today I want to talk to you about creating a strong personal brand. I hope this is going to be interactive, but if not, you know, we'll have plenty of time, hopefully have plenty of time to talk, to ask questions afterwards. So please let me know if you have any questions. So let's see here. So a little bit about me in pictures. I'd like for you to just take a moment to kind of look at these photos. I think it's a great example of the power of personal branding. And this is me. I am a photographer. I've been doing this for over 10 years. I love personal branding. I do headshot as well and some portraits, but personal branding is really my bread and butter because I love what you can do with personal brand, like how you can take an idea, you know, just a simple idea and just branding, and it becomes a huge and a big phenomenon. I think that my calling is helping others achieve their dreams. And I love to do that using images and creating content and helping to translate their ideas into reality. So here's some of my work. My hope is that in between, you know, sharing some of these photos in our interaction and this presentation, you can develop a perception of me that I want you to take with you, which is personal brand. And then at the end of this presentation, my goal is to equip you with practical and tangible tips that you can implement right away, to create a stronger personal brand for yourself as well. So what is personal brand? Simply put, it is your reputation. It's the way people perceive you. And sometimes, we might think, oh, well, but it's really how people feel, what they think about you or what they say about you or your business. We all have personal brand in our personal lives. It's really what our family and our friends think of us. And so we want to basically think of that as an extension when it comes to our businesses, how we make people feel, how we make what people think about our business. For me personally, I like for people to describe me as fun, knowledgeable, like a helper of destiny, so I want you to kind of think a little bit about that. How do you want people to feel? Because when you start getting people to feel the same way you want them to feel or think or talk about you, then it's almost like a door opens up, and before you know it, things just start falling in place. So getting right to the point, I'm going to share with you 6 tips to creating a strong personal brand. So the first one basically is determine your goal. So when it comes to creating a strong personal brand, you have to have an idea of exactly where you want your brand to be in a few years. And that can change over time, but it's so important to have an idea. Okay, I really want, in the next 6 months to a year, I want people to see me as X. I want them to think of me as this. I want them to, re-interact with me as a certain way. Once we have that clarified, it just makes everything else that I'm going to share with you today super easy. And also it helps with it helps you create a point where people can, they instantly have that, you have that instant brand recognition, and they, you create that know, like, and trust. And before you know it, people will, they would buy from you without even questioning anything. You don't compete on pricing anymore because people know you and they can relate with you. They become your referral source. They're telling all of their friends about you because they love you, they like you, they know you, they recognize you. And so it's really important to have that goal in mind so that once we start taking steps, we know exactly what we're taking steps to get to. And so the next step is to know your audience. So we want to be at a certain point in a few years. For example, it's important to know who those, because personal brand is about how people perceive you. Well, we need to know who those people are. Who are your target audience? Who do you want to think of you as a certain way? Where can we find them? What do they look like? A lot of personal branding people do on social media now. So on what platform do they exist at? And another good question I think would be great to ask is, what do they perceive us as right now? Because once we know how they perceive us right now, then we can know how much work we need to do to get to where we want them to, how we want them to perceive us. Then the next tip is to analyze your peers. So in this category, I think of it as two different ways. Think about those people that are in your peers right now, people that are doing the same thing. As women, I love the fact that there's a lot of buzz around collaboration now, much more than competition. So as a photographer, I'm constantly looking to create collaboration or meet new photographers, because in the power of combine. When I'm working with other photographers, whether we have a project together or not, it's almost like you have that extra visibility because of all these extra people. And besides that, the amount of work because we're able to do much more together. And also nice to know that when you're working with other people that are in your peers, you also learn about your strengths and your weaknesses as well. How you would do things and how you separate yourself. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So when you're forming, when you're trying to create a strong personal brand, you want to want to relate with other people. So that way you can know what are your own strengths. You forge more relationships and collaborate with them. I had another photographer friend that I referred a job to. And so a client came to me and they wanted me to do a job and I didn't have the time to do it. So I referred this person, I referred the client to another photographer, and I'd not really spoken a lot to that photographer before, but that photographer thought of me so highly because this person didn't understand why I would give away job to them. But in my mind, I was trying to help their business as well as helping my clients as well. Because in this case, everyone wins. Now, I didn't have any monetary advantage in that instance, but in our conversation that was supposed to be about 5 minutes, which turned to about an hour, I could tell that this person felt so high, thinks really highly of me because he just didn't understand why I would give them work. And my client felt really happy. So then the next time we ran into that person in a different scenario, and I found that he actually has been talking to everybody that he knows about me. So creating, collaborations and even helping our peers out goes a long way to building a strong personal brand, which, when you have your peers talking about you, people start to notice even more like, okay, why is you're a photographer or, whatever it is that you're doing, or other people are talking so highly of you. That is one way to create a strong personal brand. So then the next step is you want to figure out what makes you different, what makes you authentic. Are you funny? Are you like, do you have attention to details? Is it your personality? So it's so important, especially in the, creating a strong personal brand, to have, those little things, because especially when you're working with other people, you want to figure out what identifies you, separates you out from others. Why should other people listen to you as well? We don't want to do the same thing the same way everybody else is doing it. We want to find our own way of doing things. Once we start doing those things, people begin to notice, because a lot of people, we are on social media, we see how it's the same thing pretty much over and over again. But the moment you start doing something different, something that is unique to you, people will take note and be like, oh, wow, that's different. And that's another way to create a strong personal brand. So deliver excellence. I think this is so, so important. No matter what steps or things that we do in our businesses, it's important that we deliver excellence, whether you're selling a product or services, in your customer service, in your email interaction with people, make sure that it is total top notch. So when people like you and they get that interaction with you and they maybe buy from you or even inquire from you, and they see that you're providing excellent services, I think that really goes towards creating that strong personal brand. Whether they buy from you at that point or not, you've left an impression with them that would stay with them forever. And so this is the part that, for me, I think is probably one of the biggest and maybe even more important, is actually definitely make a big difference in my brand, is to commit to doing something. I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time and money in investing in education, which is great, but it goes a long way when we do something about what we've learned. So I'm going to share some ideas on what you could do. Like I said earlier, practical tips on what you could do, both online and offline, and creating a strong personal brand. So online, for instance, before we even get there, we've talked about knowing what your goals are, establishing what makes you different, delivering excellence. So some of those things you can, start working on, thinking through those things and figuring out what makes me different. Where do I really want to be? How do I want to craft this message to get to that point? Getting to know your audience. But online, when you're posting online, whether you're just going live or you're scheduling or your social media posts, make sure you're giving value. we want to establish yourself as an expert, a person of authority. You want people to see you as, that subject matter expert that they can trust or they can look to for when they have or they need information about what you're selling. You want to use photos and videos if you can. I'm a photographer, so I have a ton of photos, and it's purposefully baked into this presentation so you can see my work. And so again, that's an example of personal branding. But if you're not a photographer, we all have phones, and it's super easy to take your phone and make sure you find the light. Find a good source of light. Always make sure you're facing the window or a source of light. The ton of ring lights now on the market. You can grab one for really easy, cheap, and just make sure that it's in front of you, selfie style, and just slightly above your head, so that way people can see you. You want to connect directly to the camera. Just find where your camera is on your phone so that you can connect directly with your audience when you go online or when you take photos. And if it's not perfect, it's okay. Just make sure you're doing your best each and every time. So when you post, even with your video as well, if you're doing social, in terms of podcasting, make sure that you're using your phone and speaking directly into your phone, because that's where you get the clearest, and the best audio to put out there. And especially now with, social media and things, like, people are almost expecting perfection or really great quality. So even though you're not, like, if you're not at the point where you can hire a professional to do some of this work, there's a lot that we could do with our phone. Okay, so also make sure that you're using, if you can, make sure you're using the back of your camera as well. That is, the megapixel on the back of your camera is a lot higher than the front of the camera. So you're getting a better, clearer picture quality from the back of your camera. Also smile and make sure that you're authentic. Every time I take photos of people, I always tell them smile. And usually, even for me, when I do my makeup, the last makeup that I put on, I tell myself is my smile, because it just makes a big difference. And when you smile, you draw people in. People can feel, some people, the smile is what gets them, like, oh, I love the smile. And that's where that connection starts. So regarding social media in particular, I recommend having at least two social media platforms that you're active on. It would be a great idea to choose a long form and a short form. So long form, like YouTube, if you can, get consistent, which is the most important thing here, is getting consistent on it. But if you cannot, that's fine. Just do whatever you feel comfortable with that you can be consistent on, So if it's either Facebook or Instagram or even Twitter would be considered a short form platform. The most important things on that, rather than chasing the algorithm, is engaging and interacting with people. Be the first to like and comment on other people's content. Do not wait for people to like and comment on your content, because everybody is looking for likes and looking for comments. So when you're the one reaching out to liking and commenting on other people's posts, people notice, because they're like, a lot of people are looking for likes and posts and, those types of things. So when you're like the one and constantly posting valuable stuff, not just, oh, yeah, that looks awesome, like not generic posts, right? Comments, people begin to notice you. And as they notice you, they come back to you and figure out, okay, well, wow, who is this person? Like, and what does she do? What can I, that's how that curiosity starts. And once they start learning a little bit more about you every time, because you're interacting with them, they're indirectly building that trust, that like, because they're like, maybe finding something that you all have in common that would continue to solidify that relationship even before they talk to you in person. As far as in person, creating your personal brand in person, networking is a great opportunity. And I know that you're already in a good place, with this group. I think that's amazing. I think it's important that when you go networking, if you're a shy person, maybe have a networking buddy. So basically you guys are tag teaming and talking about each other's businesses. So maybe if I and Nakisha was working together, I would be talking about Nakisha's business and she'll be talking about my business, because sometimes it's easier for us to talk about other people. And when you're talking about other people, not only does it help that person, it also helps you, because people are looking at you like, wow, she's not just, because the reality is usually when we are networking, we're always wanting to find most times we're looking for the next sale. We're looking for someone to buy something from us and all that. But because you're there not only to sell, you're really promoting somebody else, you're doing something different, and people take notice of that. Another great tip about networking in person is that make sure that you go with the idea to meet just a few people. Don't try to meet everybody, because when you're trying to meet everybody, you don't actually have good connection. You don't form good connections with them. I typically go to meet no more than 3 people, because I really want to have a conversation with them. I want to get to know them, and I'm listening, to find out what we have in common or how I can help them from my network. So I'm thinking, when I'm listening, I'm thinking, oh, well, what does this person do? What are some keywords I should be listening for people that I can reintroduce to them in my network, so that way they can, to connect them. When you're investing in other people like that, they take note, and sometimes it might take a while for it to click to the other person, but it eventually clicks that, oh, you're not really just there for yourself, but you're constantly looking to help other people as well. Now, since you've only gone to the networking meeting and met only 3 people, you hopefully have gathered a lot of information about them. So the next step, that what I usually do and I recommend, is to, schedule a follow-up meeting right immediately after. So you send an email asking, using some of the information that you gathered while talking to them. It could be something as easy as like the dog likes walking at the park at a certain park, for instance. So I might phrase my email as, hey, it was really nice talking to you yesterday. I also have a dog that likes this particular park. Maybe we can connect so that we can have like a doggy date or something like that. I don't have a dog, but something like that could work. But what I'm trying to get to with that example is that you're not just sending a generic email, but you are also, because you've listened and you've shown interest in them, you have information that would further connect and strengthen that relationship. And is at that follow-up meeting is where you really want to start trying to get them to know you more, because usually when you're spending a lot of time getting to know people like that, usually the table turns to where they're like, oh, wow, okay, tell me a little bit about yourself. And you have that opportunity to tell them a little bit more about yourself. So it has worked wonders for me, to where whenever I am in anywhere, I always like to learn about the person first. And I do everything that I can to help them. And then eventually it turns around and they're like wanting to know me more. And at that point, it's not a sale, because they're genuinely interested in getting to know me. Then the last thing, I think one of the things that I have actually also implemented is getting to know or talk to somebody each day. And it might sound daunting, but even if I'm not able to get to a networking event or maybe get online, I make it a point to make sure that I give value to one person a day. Building a strong personal brand is a long game. It's not a short game. And you have to remember that every interaction, every person that you talk to, every single moment adds up to that personal brand, the strength of the personal brand that you're trying to build. So every time you show up, you're showing up authentically, you're speaking value into people, you're coming with your A game on, wanting to learn more about them and help people. And the key word here is consistency. When we do this over and over and over again, excuse me, it adds up over time. So no matter what you're doing, I strongly recommend just pick one thing and stick to it. Stick to it to the point where you can do it consistently, so that over time you begin to see the results. Okay, so a little bit about how I help women create their build their personal branding. Like I said earlier, I strongly believe that my purpose is tied to helping other people achieve their goals and their dreams. And so I use creating images and contents to help women, especially women. I feel like this is our time. We need to, show up more. So I love to just sit and hear about what are some of the things that you want to do and accomplish, what seems daunting, and help break it down and create images or content to help you get there. When you show up as your future self, people begin to gravitate towards you. Let's see here. All right, that's the end of my presentation. If does anybody have questions? Any photography question or anything that I could do to help you? Like, do you have anything right now that I could, maybe speak to help you?
I have a question.
Sure.
I've seen in the first page you had that you were a photographer, but I saw scientist too, because I'm all about STEM. So I want to hear something. What's the scientist part? Because that tricked my.
Oh, so I am also a scientist. I do drug research, and I've been doing for about 16 years. I help to, with the companies that I work with, help bring the miracles of medicine to market sooner so that we can have drugs to help, all kinds of diseases and illnesses out there.
Okay, well, I'm definitely want to keep in touch on both ends. So now, where are you located? Are you?
I'm in Greenfield, so Greater
Oh, yeah,
Indianapolis
you're in
area.
Okay, great, wonderful, close by. Yes.
So Victoria, you are a professional photographer, and what are some of your, if someone wanted to get you, do photography with you, or what do you offer?
Oh, thank you. So I offer a stress-free photo shoot experience, because I know as a professional, like a professional or business owner, as a mom or wife, we wear so many hats, right? I want to make sure that when it comes to creating that photography or the content, you don't have to worry about that at all. So one of the things that I do that sets me apart from my peers is that I include professional hair and makeup, wardrobe styling in my session. I also serve wine and chocolate covered strawberries. So it's a spa session. I literally take the stress out of it for you. Usually we have a consultation, pre-consultation before the shoot. That's where we brainstorm the ideas. Where do you see your brand? What is the purpose of this photo session? What are you trying to achieve? What contents do we want to create for you? And at that point, we brainstorm, we talk about the outfits and how you might want to use these images. And so then I get to work. And all you do is show up on the day of the shoot, and then, we make you look amazing, beautiful with hair, makeup, and all that. And because it's so important for me that I have that authentic self, your authentic self showing up in camera, so we can connect and make sure that we're achieving those goals for which we're creating those contents. So right now I do have a Boss Ladies campaign going on. I am on a goal. I'm a mission to photograph 50 women as part of my Boss Ladies campaign. And I just want to give that service to them. Is at the end of it all, we're going to be celebrating. There's a gala where we all come together. It's going to be a fun time just to celebrate our accomplishments as women, because we really don't do that as often as we should, and also networking. So it's going to be a great time to network too. A portion of the proceeds from the campaign goes to support Dove Recovery House for Women. I really want to, everything that has to do with women empowerment and helping people go from one point to a whole new level. That's really what I stand for. So passionate for it, with it, about that. And also you get featured in a magazine. So, that again, that's all part of personal branding, telling people about who you are, what you stand for, hopefully inspiring the next generation or, the next woman out there, who wants to be in your shoes. Sometimes it's hard for people to even start, to get started. So when if maybe your story is what inspires them to say, well, if Marty can do it, then maybe I can too. And so that's the goal of that. And also have a podcast where, we come and have a conversation, again, so it's really designed to help women entrepreneurs and professionals to get their brands to the next level while doing it so luxuriously and in a spa session.
So Victoria, if these ladies want to get in touch with you to take advantage of that offer, how can they connect with you?
Great, thank you so much. I should be, okay, so here is my contact information. You can go on my website. I have a landing page and it has my calendar on there. I would love to talk to you because it's really important that what you're trying to achieve, I can help you achieve that. And I'll be on, like completely honest and say, I cannot do that because I really take pride in being a part of your journey, of your story, of your growth. So let's have a conversation. I would love to connect with you beyond that, actually, and just kind of get to know you more because your network is your net worth. So please feel free to reach out to me. My cell phone, my email address, and my website is on the screen. So yeah, and if you want to be a part of the Boss Ladies, I'm still looking for a few more Boss Ladies to be a part of it. I do only have 50
if
spots.
you want to be a part of the Boss Ladies.
I would be interested in that. I enjoyed your
yes.
presentation for sure.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
One of the questions I did have a quick question because I've heard this and I'm wondering if you heard it since this is your area of expertise. Do people get branding like photo shoots like every quarter or every 6 months?
Yes. Well, so yes, it depends on the goal. So sometimes depending on your goals and your product or your services, it's a great idea to change it up. So it just goes with social media now. People want to see something new, and especially if you have a goal, like you're trying to put your different products every single time, it's always a great idea to have new and fresh, images or even videos, just to kind of help cut through the noise as well.
All right. What other questions do we have for Victoria?
I don't really have a question, just more of a comment. I just really kind of latched on, Victoria, to what you said about showing up as your future self. I just think that's a really great perspective to have. And it's kind of, I think, what my mom used to tell me, dress for the next position that you want. It's kind of that same mentality, but I just thought that was a really great perspective to be putting yourself where you see yourself, I guess, and presenting yourself that way. So I just wanted to thank you for that observation.
Oh, no, great. Thank you for that comment. Like, I think that also kind of goes back to knowing what your goals are, because when you know where you want to be, then you can embody that. You can dress as that person, show up as that person, and people begin to notice. And the nice thing about it is, at least what I've seen happen in my life, is that you begin to attract all the people that you want to attract because you're showing up as that person that you envision yourself as, so even on social media with the photos and all that, like, or even the video, whatever it is that you're doing, your posts, because it's almost like futuristic, it's happening right now because you're forward thinking. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes. I love it. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, I have a question kind of as, like for instance, and I'm just being transparent with me and my weight right now. Like my weight is an issue for me. Okay. And so I don't see myself being here in my future. And so, but I don't think that's a reason for me to not do any photo shoots. However, I think that it has prevented me from making it happen and doing them. So what would you say about that?
So, and I see a lot, and I hear a lot of women talk about that. I personally have gained a lot of pandemic weight, we'll call it. So, but I did a photo shoot for myself in, I think about a few months ago. I just had to, first of all, I was burnt out. I needed a, and I'm giving ladies a spa experience. I needed a spa experience for myself. So I got my team together and I gave myself a spa experience. But beyond that, what I guess to answer your question is that I don't think that, well, first of all, you said that you don't think that because of your weight should be a determinant, to stop you. I think that's great. But as a photographer, there's so many tips that we use to help you look amazing on camera. Photoshop is available, but even before we get there, there's lighting, there's your outfits, which is why I strongly do that. I have to do that pre-consultation before we do the shoots. The outfit that you wear, matters a lot. The posing matters as well too. And you'll be shocked, like even when my photo shoots, let's see, I did this photo during my photo shoot, the one on the magazine.
Love that.
Believe it or not, that did not, these photos I took myself, that this jumpsuit could not zip up at the back. That's how bad it was, and so, like, cause I got the dress, or the, jumpsuit from Amazon, and I was like, it was last minute. I was like, I had to do this, and I kept zipping it up, but it was just me. It wasn't happening. I was like, you know what? We're gonna make it work. And I pulled up the, and I took the photo, and nobody, if I didn't tell you, you would never know, so there's a big part of, there's so much. And honestly speaking, it's one of the tips I wanted to share. Even if you wanted to take photos of yourself, just make sure that you find those flattering angles. If you took your own camera right now, like your phone camera, even if the clothes does not fit, you can put a clothespin at the back of it to just hold it tight so you can have some curves. And that's all you need, just have that, just find the flattering side of yourself where you feel the most flattering. Also, instead of facing forward to the camera, you want to turn sideways because you're leaner when you're turned sideways versus when we're faced forward to the camera, we're broader, right? So when you're kind of like this, you're slimmer, and that's an illusion. And whatever is closest to the camera appears biggest. So if you want your face, which is usually what you want to be the most closest to the camera, really, you want your face to come closest to the camera because that's where your eyes, you want to connect with people, your smile. So you want to come closer to the camera, then everything else, just see how I lean forward. When you lean forward, if you're someone like me that have like, we struggle with like tummy, when you lean forward, it automatically makes your tummy slimmer because you're leaning forward. And I'm going kind of to the side, just like this. And so by doing just little things, you immediately get more beautiful photos than, if you didn't. So those are some tips that you can do. It works for video as well. So as the way you lean forward, and also make sure that your hand is not close to your body because it just makes you wider. When you, have a little bit of space, it just makes it look like you're, slimmer. So that goes into the outfit that you pick out too. And that's the reason why right here, I have to have a little bit of space so that way, it kind of makes me appear slimmer.
Nice. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any other questions?
I have a comment. I do have a question about networking, or well, actually it was analyzing your peers. But before that, I just think you are such a sweet spirit. And the fact that, even your whole presentation was just adding value to us. So thank you so much for all that you brought to the table. So well done. But I was thinking about the analyzing your peers. So I have thought this so many times about, we are all saturated in our whatever we're doing. So how have you identified, I know being with other people that's in your same place would help, but even when you're with them, what are some things that you need to think about to know that you're set apart in this specific way? Does that make sense?
I think so.
So what if I'm hanging out or I go and I set up a collaborative time with another person, right? And I want to be with them. What does that look like to even be with somebody, meet someone that's in your same job or your description or what you do? I go meet with them, and then how do I set it up where I'm learning from that person? It's mutual. They don't feel like you're stepping on their toes, and I learn my strengths and weaknesses in that, because that's something you mentioned. I
Mhm.
find that most people are very competitive and they don't let you in. So
Mhm.
I'm just curious.
Right. I think that's a really good question. So I can give you my personal example as photographer. So at one time I was at an event and I found a photographer. And so I went in, I was very careful because I know that, they might think I'm trying to step on their toes. And I just came and I was like, oh, well, because she was set up she was photographing the event. And so I said, hey, first of all, I went in and I took my own photos as well without even mentioning that I was a photographer. And then later on, we got talking and I was like, oh, like I do photography as well. I love everything that you're doing. I was giving genuine compliments. And then I
Mhm.
offered help. I was like, oh, I see that you're the only one here. Like nobody really knows me as a photographer. So if you need me to pick up something, it doesn't even have to be photography related, so that way there's no issues or like,
Right.
concerns, like if you need me to pick up a box, I'm happy to. And so I was just trying to offer help that way. And I think that helped that kind of feel a little more comfortable. And so we got talking and then we had another meeting later on. So we kind of got to know a little bit more about our businesses. And now we're at the point where we're like, oh, maybe what about we should do this together? Like, let's have a
That's
joint
awesome.
event, those types of things. So I think that the approach also matters, when you come at it and letting them know, like, this is not a competition, which I think that we're beginning as women to kind of catch up on now, where like, it's not a competition. Working together pays us way better than, working separately. I think that matters a lot. And so in addition to that, the other thing I wanted to talk about there, and I think I forgot was, in addition to working with your peers, so like also networking with people that are already above you or people that are where you want to be, because you see how they do things, you're associating with them, you're getting name recognition almost, because I think about Oprah, like at the end of the day, she has a brand by herself, right? She's not
Right.
NBC or CNN, you know what I mean? Like it's Oprah, and everybody wants to be with Oprah. Like even if you were by a studio, like, oh, I went to Oprah's, studio or something like that, right? So because by association, right? And so if we're able to get those kind of
That's
connections, I
good.
think it's great. So that way we can get an insight into their world and see, okay, what is it truly like day to day? What are some of their challenges so we can prepare for them now?
I love it. Thank you so much. So
No
good.
problem.
So Victoria, I know that Ariane said that she wants to do the boss lady. So she should reach out to you by email, correct? And so, and the
Yes.
kids also, so they can just send you an email.
Yes, an email is fine. Yeah, I would love to talk to you, just learn a little bit more about what you're doing, and yeah, tell you about the Boss Ladies campaign. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Anybody else have a question or a comment?
Just ready to get started now.
So Victoria, I love everything that you said. I'm so glad that we've had you come. And I wrote down the 6 questions around the personal branding. And, I was thinking, ladies, maybe this is something that we follow back up on next week. These are really good questions to just stop and do, take some time to do some breakouts on, and maybe we'll do this for our next session. But I mean, I can see us breaking down these questions, like determine what is your goal in terms of your brand.
Yep.
I think it's worth just digging in deeper to that, to really define that, because we normally don't take the time to think about that. I don't know about you, but I'm always busy you know, right now, I feel like I'm always working deals and working through challenges and working in the business, and to step back and say, okay, I need to be thinking about my brand here. I think we should carve out the time to do that. Are you all in agreement with that?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm definitely.
I definitely am in agreement with that, because Crystal's still waiting on my bio, because the bio I have doesn't 100% align with where I'm going now as an entrepreneur. And then the same headshots I've had for years, my husband's tired of looking at them, he said, because he does some of my graphics for me. So he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Same headshot from 2018. So it's time.
Well, that brings up a great idea, and you know, maybe it's time to pull out our bios and brush those up as we figure out, you know, who that figure is, that future person, and we write the bio to that person. Yep.
I love that. I love that.
I love it too. Love, love. All right. Victoria, it has been fantastic to have you on here. We're so appreciative of you. I want to clap for you. Yay.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It has been my pleasure, my honor. Thank you.
All right. So everybody, we're going to go ahead and call it done today, but don't forget, VIP Connect is Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So I hope to see you all there so we can do a little bit of networking and catching up on what's going on and giving some updates. All right. All right, Victoria, thank you so much.
All right. Bye.